I've had my hair in a bun for too many videos in a row that I just have to wear it down, but I also don't want to brush it, so. Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be talking about some really terrifying conspiracy theories. My voice is still kind of gone. I don't know, I had laryngitis like 3 weeks ago, but like still feels like kind of raspy. I hope this is just like my permanent voice because I kind of dig it. Today's video is going to be talking about some really scary conspiracy theories, at least conspiracy theories that I find to be scary, because personally, there's like a few that I've wanted to talk about for years, but I'm too scared to believe them. Like, talking about them makes me believe them, but like it's like I don't want to believe them because it just is so terrifying, like the result of it. And this is going to be that video. These are just some of the ones that I have. If you guys want me to make this into kind of like a series, I do have quite a few more. Like, I haven't really talked too much about like 9/11 conspiracy theories, but stuff like that really freaks me out because it's like I believe it and I don't want to because it's like so awful or so terrifying. So these are some of those conspiracy theories for you guys. Let's get right into it. So the first conspiracy theory that really freaks me out involves 23andMe, or any other company that takes your DNA and helps you see your family tree or your ethnicity and all of that stuff. And I have personally used the product. I know so many people who have. It's such a popular company right now, and especially even like 2 years ago it was really poppin', and I have heard some serious conspiracy theories about this, and I have some of my own, so let's get into it. A lot of scientists believe that in 50 years time we might have access to age reversal procedures, stem cells, and all of these things that I don't even understand, and I'm sure most people don't. But scientists really do believe that this is a coming thing, that we are going to somehow figure out how to sustain the human life so that we never die, which is a really creepy thought. Of course, how they are planning on doing it and how they've gone about their research thus far includes using DNA samples from when the person was a teenager. If you think about it, 23andMe completely markets towards young people 100%. And the theory basically goes that the reason that 23andMe continuously markets towards audience of young people by using YouTubers and other celebrities to guide their audience towards this age of social media, which is all people, you know, in millennial people, like in their 20s and teens, doing these DNA tests so that the 23andMe and all these other companies have the DNA samples. 50 years from now, when this technology allegedly will exist, 23andMe can actually sell people their old DNA from when they were 19 years old, 20 years old for thousands of dollars. And of course, the actual procedure probably costs thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars if that actually ever were to exist. So that's basically that conspiracy theory. That doesn't freak me out because I straight up just don't believe it. I think that would be so much effort for something that we don't actually even know is going to happen, that I personally don't even think will happen in our lifetime. It is an interesting theory. However, I think something more interesting and more logical that really freaks me out is because it's still using your information, it's still taking DNA for a reason, and it's still targeting young people, all under a bigger purpose, which would be to target these young people while they're young, get their DNA samples, and so that in 15 to 20 years from now, when the people that are committing major crimes and murders and, you know, serial killings and all this terrible stuff, they will have way larger DNA base to use because of websites like 23andMe and Ancestry, because these people, when they're kids, and I know so many families, like my friend Paige, literally she got one of these things for Christmas when she was like 15. Like, so many of these parents are buying these, you know, DNA kits to go have their family DNA looked at, and it's so exciting and cool. But like, what you're thinking of is you're getting these samples of DNA from these 15-year-olds. So like 15 years from now, if my friend Paige committed a fucking crazy crime, which obviously she wouldn't, but if she did, her DNA would already be in the database, and therefore it would be way easier to connect a crime to her directly. I think that this is so smart, and honestly, I think it's a good thing that they do it. I don't know why people are so upset about people having their DNA, but I think it's smart because when you research true crime cases, I've seen so many fucking cases where there's DNA samples that like nobody knows who it is and like all this stuff. But if the person is already in the database by using 23andMe or by using Ancestry.com, it could help solve so many cases. I'm pretty sure actually it already has helped solve cases. I just think overall it's like a good idea. It just terrifies me to the core when I stay up thinking about how much information about you is out there, in the sense of how much stuff Google has about you. 23andMe, like they literally have your genetics, they have your ethnic background, they have your health records, like all this stuff that's just terrifying that like the internet just has, just like, you know, on hand. But not only that, when they connect that to your research and your things that you put online and things that you post and things that you search on Google, even if you clear your history, like the caches are saved somewhere like out there. And I just think that is absolutely terrifying to think about, and it freaks me out to even like believe that this is true, because it just makes me realize how much of our lives are really saved by the government and by the FBI. And even though for the most part, if you're, you know, a good citizen or whatever, it's probably fine and it's probably like information that they do nothing with. And honestly, it probably is for the greater good in the first place, because hopefully they end up solving a bunch of cases with this updated technology. But still, it's so scary. And it's so scary to think about like the crimes. Like what if something happens that you get pinned for something that you didn't do? Like that terrifies me. Like what if like someone dies and somehow your DNA is there even though you weren't even there? I hate that. I hate that a lot, and it really, really freaks me out, and I can't even think about it for any longer because I will have an existential crisis probably. So we're moving on. The next conspiracy theory is something that I've wanted to talk about for such a long time. I have just been genuinely scared because I really do believe that this was what happened, this was why this happened, and that this happens every day. We're gonna be talking about Kanika Jenkins. Kanika Jenkins was just a regular 19-year-old teenage girl who was just having fun with her friends at the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Chicago on September 8th of 2017. So Kanika went to a party, like I said, at the Crowne Plaza. She went on the night of September 8th, and on the morning of September 9th, 2017, she was actually reported missing. A day later, Kanika was sadly found in the freezer at the Crowne Plaza Hotel, and it's like a giant freezer, like a hotel freezer, if that makes sense, or restaurant freezer. So fucking suspicious. Like this is probably one of the most frustrating cases because it's so suspicious, and I feel so bad for her family, and it's just awful. There's really disturbing footage knowing what happened after it of Kanika Jenkins just walking through the Crowne Plaza Hotel. You can clearly tell that she's stumbling, that she's probably drunk because she was at a party in the hotel. She's seen on security footage walking out of the elevator and walking down around like the kitchen area of the hotel, and then you can see her walk towards the freezer, but it cuts off because allegedly there was no cameras above the freezer. But then Kanika's mother claims that there actually is, and they're just saying that there's not, and all this stuff. And basically there's no footage of her actually getting into the freezer or opening the freezer door, which is interesting, of course, because there was pretty much security cameras everywhere else. You would think in front of the freezer would actually be somewhere where they would want to put cameras, in case there was anything stolen from the freezer. It just would make sense for them to have cameras there. Kanika's mother, Teresa Martin, was actually super outspoken about this case. She genuinely believed that there was way more to the story. She did not think that her daughter accidentally stumbled into the freezer and died of hypothermia. That's basically what the autopsy report says, but she 0% believed that. Kanika's mother was demanding to see videos of her child physically walking into the freezer. Kanika's sister actually went and spoke about this too, claiming that there is absolutely no way that Kanika could have opened that freezer door by herself, specifically if she was drunk. And I agree with that. The freezer doors are fucking huge. There's no way that that girl would be able to open that up by herself, especially the way that she was stumbling around in the security footage. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. The Crowne Plaza has actually been really rumored to be a hub for organ trafficking, which is so fucking terrifying, because there are so many cases around Chicago and of course around the whole world where you see people who are going missing or who have gotten murdered and like had their organs harvested, because obviously organ selling on the black market is a pretty big thing, because it's really hard to get organs when you need them, and it's a long process. It literally freaks me out so much that there are actual people that go and kill people to get these organs. And it makes you wonder like how many of the missing cases are just people who have just been mutilated because somebody wanted to sell their organs on the black market. It's horrifying. When a lot of different YouTubers talked about this, they talked about this theory specifically being like that they thought that Kanika might have been killed to harvest her organs. However, the autopsy report claims that her organs were all there and that she really did die of hypothermia. That doesn't dismiss the fact that I do actually think that she was lured into the freezer. Very well may have died of hypothermia, but I do not think it was on her own account at all. Maybe something went wrong with the black market situation. I really do believe that something was really, really fishy about this entire thing, and I think it's awful, and I really hope that they get justice for Kanika's family, because she seemed like such a nice girl, and it's just so unfair. And it's so unbelievable that she would have just stumbled into a freezer by herself. Think about it. Like, what if there's, I don't know, there would probably be evidence of this though, but like, what if like she was meeting someone from like Tinder or like something like that? Like, what if there are people on Tinder that are literally like black market organ stealers? Like, I'm so scared of that. Like, it genuinely freaks me the fuck out, because it's like a real thing. Like, it's a real thing that's actually happening, and the fact that there's not really anything being done about it freaks me out even more. I genuinely don't believe that this was an accident at all, and I hope that justice is served for Kanika's family and for her, and it's just awful, and I seriously am terrified, and I would seriously advise that if you ever go to Chicago or anywhere, just to not go places alone. It's so scary, and I know it like genuinely freaks me the fuck out, but like, it's something that is real, and it's something that people should talk about more, because it's horrible. Of course people could just get murdered for any reason and whatever. When you realize that people actually do have a motive for that, or for like human trafficking in general, stuff like that really freaks me out. It makes you literally want to go nowhere by yourself. So stay safe, especially if you're in this area, because Chicago is definitely somewhere that I feel like I could do a whole video on if you guys would want, about some of the cases that are just so suspicious and similar to Kanika's case, where it just is ruled as an accident even though there's so much evidence that it's not an accident. Possibly things with organ harvesting and the black market. So let me know if you guys would want to see that, because it is something that truly terrifies me to the core. On a bit of a lighter note, we're going to talk about the conspiracy theory that life is a simulation. I've talked about this a few times, and it terrifies me only because there is no definitive way that you can say for facts that this is not true or that this is true. And I think anything like that freaks me the hell out, because things that like are kind of unknown really scare me, and that is why I don't fuck with space or with the ocean, because those are two things that are extremely unknown. And life being a simulation or there being parallel universes is something that genuinely terrifies me. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it will make me have a conniption, but I just thought I would throw it in because it is something that genuinely freaks me out a lot, and I don't like talking about it, and I don't like learning about it because it freaks me out so much. I don't know, thinking about life and stuff like that really sends me into a spiral, because I think that there's so much that we cannot even fathom about space and life and time and all that stuff, let alone understand or begin to understand. So that is one of the things that genuinely creeps me the fuck out. The last conspiracy theory that we're going to be talking about is something that has been very requested for me to talk about. I personally don't like talking about it because of the theory that I believe, and this is what I think happened for the most part. I don't know, I'm not like accusing anyone of anything, I don't want to disrespect the families, but it has to do with the Malaysian airline flight 370. I've talked about this briefly in the sense of the Twitter voicemail, which we'll get into in a second, if you guys remember that. But first, let's just talk about what happened. On March 8th of 2014, a Boeing 777 disappeared basically out of thin air. It was flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. There was some air traffic evidence of them kind of going in a really weird direction, like not the way that the plane should have been flown, and ended up somewhere over the Indian Ocean and ultimately disappeared out of thin air. So the captain that was flying Malaysian Airline 370 was Captain Shaw, and Captain Shaw was really into piloting, was really into flying. He loved being a pilot. He actually had an at-home simulation where he would like fly his little simulated plane, and like it's like kind of like a computer digital program. Something that was suspicious is that a month before the plane went missing, his pilot Captain Shaw basically conducted a few different flights on his home system, like his home simulator, where he actually did the route that Malaysia Airline 370 was supposed to go to. He did the flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and in fact he did it in the same weird way that he actually did it on the day that 370 went missing. He made the same weird sharp turns and basically kind of went off into the Indian Ocean somewhere. Not only that, he also did another simulation flight where he flew a plane into the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur. He's actually tried to delete these simulations, but with the internet, you know how things back up and all that stuff, it was actually saved to a backup, so on his computer, so it was found. So people believe that Captain Shaw deliberately crashed Malaysian Airline 370 into the Indian Ocean. The route he took was not routine to what he should have taken, and he had practiced this flight a month before, like on his simulation. Like, that's so fucking weird and suspicious. Some people believe that he planned on crashing into the Petronas Towers, but changed his mind. This is something that genuinely terrifies me, and we'll talk about why in a second, but it might be important to know that his marriage was kind of like falling apart at the time, and his wife and his daughter were talking about how he was acting very odd before he went on that Malaysian 370 flight. I believe that it is definitely a possibility that he deliberately crashed the plane due to stuff going on in his personal life. It's really sad to think about it, and actually terrifying to fucking think about, because you're putting your life in the hands of someone who's flying a plane that you obviously expect to be like sane and to be not depressed and to be not suicidal. But sadly it happens. Like, it does happen, and I've personally know someone who was a pilot, and I don't want to like get specific, but yeah, like obviously he didn't crash a plane or anything. He did have a lot of depression, and that is something that should be regulated, and luckily for this particular person, this airline that I'm talking about, like personally, was regulated and taken care of. However, depression is something that could be hidden. It can be hidden, and it freaks me the hell out, because you get into Ubers, you get into planes, you get into taxis, you get onto trains and buses and all these fucking things where you're putting your life in the control of other people, and you don't know what the fuck they're going through, and that is so horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying, and I hate thinking about it because it makes me literally never want to go anywhere. But of course it could have happened, and I kind of believe this theory the most just because of the way the plane flew and the way that he used a simulation month before. It's just too suspicious. Those are some of the conspiracy theories that absolutely terrify me to even think about, because I believe a lot of them and it scares me. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments any conspiracy theories that freak you the hell out because you believe them. Let me know. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, because I'm always posting really dope ass shit on there. Subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you guys later. Bye!